You know exactly what you need to do. You know it is important. You know that not doing it is making everything worse, and yet you still do not do it. You open your laptop with the intention to work. You stare at the screen. And then somehow you open YouTube, or Twitter, or anything else that is not the thing you need to do. Hours disappear, the deadline creeps closer, the anxiety grows heavier, and still you do not start. Why does this happen? Why do we procrastinate even when we know it is destroying us? Here is what most people get completely wrong about procrastination. They think it is about laziness. They think it is about poor time management. They think it is about lacking discipline or willpower. But that is not what is actually happening. Because if it was just laziness, you would not feel terrible about it. Lazy people do not agonize over the things they are not doing. If it was just poor planning, a simple to-do list would fix everything. But it does not. You can have the most beautiful planner in the world and still find yourself completely frozen, unable to start, watching the hours slip away while you do nothing. So what is actually going on inside your brain? Procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation problem. You are not avoiding the task itself. You are avoiding the feeling that comes with the task. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment from others. Fear that you are not good enough to do this. Overwhelm because you have no idea where to start. Perfectionism whispering that if it is not perfect, it is worthless. These emotions are so uncomfortable that your brain does anything to escape them. And the easiest escape is to do something else. Anything else. That is why you can procrastinate on something you actually care about deeply. You are not lazy. The truth is, you care too much. The task matters so much to you that the idea of failing at it feels unbearable. The thought of doing it poorly is too painful to face, so your brain protects you by keeping you away from it entirely. It is not rational behavior, but it is very real. And that is why procrastination feels so awful. Because deep down, you know you are running from something that actually matters to you. Let me walk you through the procrastination cycle. It works like this. Step 1. You have a task that needs to be done. Step 2. The task triggers uncomfortable emotions inside you. Step 3. You avoid the task to avoid those emotions. Step 4. You feel temporary relief. That relief feels good for maybe 10 minutes. Your brain thinks it solved the problem. Then step 5 arrives. Guilt and shame kick in. You know you should be working. The deadline is getting closer every minute. The anxiety grows. But now it is even worse than before. Because you are anxious about the task itself and also guilty about procrastinating. So what do? You procrastinate more to escape those new feelings. And the cycle repeats. Over and over. Here is where it gets even worse. Every time you procrastinate, you are training your brain. You are teaching it that when things feel uncomfortable, the solution is to run away. So the next time you face something difficult, your brain already knows exactly what to do. Avoid it. The pattern gets stronger with each repetition. The habit deepens, and over time, procrastination stops being something you do occasionally. It becomes part of who you are. Now, most advice about procrastination is completely useless. People say, just start. People say, break it into smaller steps. People say, use the Pomodoro technique. And sure, those things can help a little. But they do not address the core problem. If you are procrastinating because the task makes you feel inadequate, then breaking it into smaller tasks does not make you feel less inadequate. You still have to face that feeling eventually. And that is exactly what you are avoiding. So what actually works? First, you have to name the feeling. Not the task, the feeling underneath. Ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of right now? Am I afraid this will not be good enough? Am I afraid people will judge what I create? Am I afraid I will fail completely? Am I overwhelmed because I do not know where to begin? When you name the emotion, it loses some of its power over you. You are no longer running from some vague, uncomfortable thing you cannot identify. You are looking directly at what it actually is. Second, you have to separate the feeling from the task. Just because you feel like you will fail does not mean you actually will. Just because you feel overwhelmed does not mean the task is actually impossible. Your feelings are real, but they are not facts. The task is the task. The feeling is the feeling. They are two completely different things. And you can do the task even while feeling the uncomfortable feeling. Third, shrink the task until the resistance disappears. Do not tell yourself you have to finish the entire project. Do not even tell yourself you have to work for an hour. Tell yourself you are going to open the document. That is it. Just open it. Or write one sentence. Or work for 2 minutes. Make the task so ridiculously small that your brain cannot justify avoiding it. Because here is what happens. Once you start, the resistance drops dramatically. Starting is always the hardest part. But once you're in motion, momentum takes over. Fourth, expect the discomfort. This part is crucial. You are going to feel bad when you start. You are going to feel inadequate or scared or overwhelmed. That is completely normal. That is not a sign you should stop. That is just what starting feels like. The mistake is thinking you need to feel good before you can begin. You do not. You start and then the feeling changes. Not before. After. Fifth, forgive yourself. Procrastination is not a moral failure. You are not a bad person. You are not broken. You are human. Your brain is doing what brains naturally do, trying to protect you from pain. The problem is, it is protecting you in a way that makes everything worse. But beating yourself up does not help. Guilt does not motivate you. It just makes you want to avoid even more. So when you catch yourself procrastinating, do not spiral into shame. Just notice it, name it, and choose differently. Here is what changes when you truly understand this. You stop seeing procrastination as a character flaw. You start seeing it as a signal. It is your brain telling you something about this task feels threatening. And once you know that you can address it directly, you can ask, what is threatening about this? What do I need to feel safe enough to start? Maybe you need to lower the stakes. Maybe you need to remind yourself that done is better than perfect. Maybe you just need to acknowledge that you are scared and do it anyway. Because here is the truth most people miss entirely. Procrastination is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. Perfectionism is the enemy. Shame is the enemy. Procrastination is just the symptom. And you cannot fix a symptom by ignoring the cause. If you are drowning and someone throws you advice that says, just start, it does not help, you need to address why you are in the water in the first place. So let us go deeper. Why are you afraid of failure? Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your worth is tied to your performance. You learned that if you fail at something, then you are a failure as a person. That is a lie. But it is a lie most of us believe deeply. And it is why procrastination feels so heavy. Because you are not just avoiding a task, you are avoiding a judgment on your value as a human being. That is exhausting. And that is why just start does not work. The stakes feel impossibly high. What if you could separate those things? What if you could fail at something without being a failure? What if you could make something imperfect without being imperfect yourself? That is the shift that changes everything. That is what makes starting possible. When you stop betting your entire identity on the outcome, the task becomes just a task. It is no longer life or death. It is just something you are trying. Here is what happens when you actually start practicing this. At first, it is hard. You have to fight every instinct that says wait until you feel ready. But you do it anyway. You open the document, you write one bad sentence, you work for 5 minutes, and it feels awful. But you notice something important. The awful feeling does not kill you. It just sits there. And after a few minutes, it fades. Not completely, but enough. Enough to keep going. And then something interesting happens. You start to trust yourself. Because every time you feel the discomfort and do it anyway, you are proving to yourself that you can handle it. You are showing your brain that uncomfortable feelings are not dangerous. They are just uncomfortable. And the more you do this, the less power procrastination has over you. Not because the feelings go away, but because you stop needing them to go away before you act. This is the secret nobody tells you about procrastination. You do not overcome it by becoming more disciplined. You overcome it by becoming more emotionally resilient, by learning to sit with discomfort, by proving to yourself over and over that you can do hard things even when they feel hard. That is the real skill. Not time management, emotion management. And once you build that resilience, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation to arrive. You stop waiting to feel ready. You just start. Not because it feels good, but because you know you can handle it feeling bad. That is freedom. That is what it means to stop procrastinating. Not that you never feel resistance, but that resistance does not stop you anymore. So here is what you do right now. Do not think about finishing. Do not think about doing it perfectly. Do not even think about doing it well. Just think about starting. What is the smallest possible step you can take right now? Open the document, write one word, send one email, make one phone call. That is it. Do that one thing and notice what happens. Notice that the world does not end. Notice that you are still okay. Notice that the feeling is uncomfortable but survivable. And then do it again tomorrow. Not because it is easy, but because it is possible. Because you are not trying to become someone who never procrastinates. You are trying to become someone who procrastinates less. Someone who starts even when it is hard. Someone who can sit with discomfort long enough to do what matters. That is the person you are becoming. One small, uncomfortable step at a time. Because procrastination itself is not destroying you. The avoidance is destroying you. The shame is destroying you. The belief that you are broken is destroying you. But you are not broken. You are just scared. And being scared does not mean you are weak. It means you care. It means this matters to you. So take that fear, name it, sit with it, and do the thing anyway. Not perfectly, not easily. Just do it. Because on the other side of that discomfort is everything you have been avoiding. Your goals, your growth, your life. And it is waiting for you right now. All you have to do is start.